Welcome to the Nerdist Podcast number 906. This episode is Deon Cole, a comedian I adore.
Super funny guy.
Who I was so glad to get on the show. He was great when he came on at midnight, but he's also a guy who is working on so many things.
Like everything.
And I love to see people. I relate to people who work their asses off. Because you just have to now if you want to get anything going, you know? But he's working on a million shows. He's on Blackish, which comes back October 3rd at 9 p.m. on ABC. He has a game show, Face Value, which is executive produced by Wanda Sykes, Wednesdays at 10 p.m. on BET. He also has The Stand-Ups on Netflix. Which is streaming now, which is a group of great stand-up comics. Everyone's doing, is everyone doing a half hour?
Half hour, I believe.
Yeah, everyone's doing a half hour. And then he's got Grownish, which is a spin-off of Blackish, which is coming to Freeform. And anyway, I love Deon, and he has so many great insights into comedy, and he's been doing comedy a long time. And I think you will enjoy this episode about the creative process. Do you want to promote anything for the Corkboard before we get into this?
We got a couple things. Shannon Bonactic? She wrote how to pronounce it, and I'm still having trouble. Bonatakis.
Can I see
that? Yeah. She wrote how to pronounce it, and I still have trouble. I said it in my head.
I think problem is she didn't give you what the stress syllable was.
That's true.
I'm going to guess Bonatakis.
Bonatakis.
Yeah.
All right, Shannon Bonatakis. She's a painter most known for her frequent involvement in the pop culture art scene and for her collaborations with Disney. Her very first solo show is coming up, and she wants some help spreading the word. Hauntings is a collection of female portraits featuring wayward spirits, witchcraft, supernatural entities, and a general festive Halloween theme. Its opening reception is October 6th at Gallery 1988 in LA, which is a super great gallery.
Yep.
Super fun. So it'll be there for a while, so you can go check it out there. Also, Sean Tischler writes, "My father worked for Radio Shack for over 30 years. I literally grew up in a series of Radio Shack stores. I was actually in one of those super unsafe 1970s playpens in the back room next to the Lantern batteries. I'm working on a documentary to tell the story of Radio Shack through the glory days."
Oh, fuck, that sounds great.
Isn't that great? It's titled Shackers, The Life of Radio Shack. You can check it out on Facebook or Google just Google Radio Shack documentary and it'll appear. They are currently running an Indiegogo to help them make it. So if you go to Indiegogo and you just type in Shack Doc or Shackers, I'm sure it will come up. But I love that idea.
That sounds... Radio Shack when I was growing up was really... That was a technological wonderland.
I remember I got a Radio Shack remote-controlled car that was the best remote-controlled car I ever had when I was a kid. Like, we had it for 10 years. It worked the entire time, and it was the best.
Radio Shack always promised us, like, it was always, like, right on the precipice of robots in your house.
Yeah.
Even though they never actually... The robots didn't really do much of anything. It was still just the promise of it.
Yes.
Was great.
But yeah, you go to Indiegogo.com, you type in Radio Shack or The Life of Radio Shack, a documentary. You can donate and help that project happen.
Excellent. Thank you, Sean Tischler. And here's the Nerdist Podcast number 906 with Deon Cole. Katie, roll the thing.
Now entering Nerdist.com.
Oh, yeah.
This area is incredible. Are they like really... I'm not trying to...
Sure.
Is it really pricey over here?
It's an interesting area because yes, but no. Because this area is... it's been through a lot of ups and downs over that. Like, it was... in the 20s, it was 30s, 40s, it was really nice. And then in the 60s, 70s, 80s, it was not as nice. And so a lot of shitty houses got built, or a lot of people inherited nice houses that just went into disrepair. And then in the 90s and early 2000s, it all started coming back. A friend of mine in the early 90s bought a really nice house up here for just a few $100,000. And now it's worth a ton, So it's like it all came back, but yeah, it's great because it's really quiet. but you're a minute from everything.
That's what I loved.
Yeah.
Like when I came here, I was like, where am I going? Like, this is crazy. Like, what is this? So,
It's a good. I gotta take.
I'm definitely check this place out.
It's
this area out.
It's
This
good.
is
I highly recommend it. And there's a lot of. It's a great neighborhood. There's a lot of. You're close to everything. There's a lot of great restaurants. And it's really peaceful at night.
I love it.
Really, really, really pretty at night.
I love it. Great.
What part of town are you in?
Woodland Hills.
Nice.
Yeah.
But it's probably far away from everything you do.
It's far, yes. It's me and the stars. That's I get to see stars. Anybody come to my house, I'm like, there's stars. They're like, still wouldn't work this drive.
I know you can't. It's like anything in Woodland Hills is like, I'll come at like 10 o'clock at night after traffic.
Yeah, that's how everybody does, man.
Do you want to come over at 6? No.
Are you crazy? No, I would never
have to
come
leave at
6.
3 p.m. to get there by 6 o'clock. But it's nice. Like once you get out there, it's really
nice.
peaceful and nice out there.
Yes,
I
it is.
completely understand.
Yeah. The weather's always like 8 degrees hotter, 10 degrees hotter than everywhere else. Yeah, it's like a resort sometimes out there.
Yeah, I know, but you're working on so many different things right now that it seems like you probably will have to be closer.
Yeah, and that's why when I came here, I said this is ideal. This whole area.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
What else? What's been going on? You're working on. I know you're doing. I know you're recurring on Blackish.
Yes.
And then you're doing college-ish as well?
It's called Grownish.
Grownish
now. They changed the name.
It. And that's Freeform.
Yes, Freeform, yes. And then the show called Face Value
Wanda Sykes
on
show.
BET.
Yep.
And still do bits with Conan.
Yep.
Every now and then I go and do bits with Conan over at TBS, and then Angie Tribeca on TBS as well.
And then you have a Netflix special.
Netflix special called The Stand-Ups. That's on right now. That came out July 4th, and today. Def Jam 25 anniversary. Yeah,
Damn.
That came out today. So everybody should check that out too. It's really cool. It's like Cat Williams, Chappelle, Steve Harvey, Cedric, Kevin Hart. Like anybody that did Def Jam is on this special.
And are you comfortable in that situation, or do you kind of feel like, hey guys, it's cool for me to be here, right? Right, Dave Chappelle?
Yeah, no.
I know you know these guys.
Yeah.
Stand up for a long time.
Yeah.
Still.
No, these are greats. I promise you, these are greats. But, I sit there and I listen to these guys, man, especially like behind the scenes when they're talking about certain things or whatever. I just sit back and become a sponge, man, and just sit back and, absorb it all,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's amazing being with those guys, especially that I admired them coming up. And also performing with them is incredible,
I've seen, watching Chappelle work out material over a week is one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had.
Isn't it?
Because he'll do, I think he did like 3 hours, but it never felt long.
Yeah.
And he's very conversational.
Yeah.
And you think he's being all casual, and then you come back the next night and you see what he's honed down.
Yeah.
Like, shit. And he doesn't write anything down. So, I don't know how the fuck he retains that much information.
I know, right?
He knows how to whittle it down.
Yo, his mind. It's like his mind is only centered on that.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's hard for him to come up with stuff like that, have it organized like that, and still deal with living, just walking day to day and remembering to do your laundry and call this person and that person and all that, to remember to have the list of material that he does and the topics that he touch on and the way he does it, all of that is thought out, and it's amazing to watch.
I know it's, I don't think it's necessarily a nice thing to say, to go like, oh, it's effortless, because everyone has a work process.
Yes, they do.
But he makes it look
that's the
so
thing.
effortless.
So it doesn't even look like he's trying at all. It looks like he's just actually talking to you. And I think that's the gift. You know, I think that's his gift to make it like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like a car salesman in a sense. If you and why was he so calm? How did he do that effortlessly? Why am I sitting up here with 3 Mercedes? Like,
yeah, every time Chappelle would try to get off stage, the audience would go, "No!" So, all right, and he'd light up another cigarette, and they would shout stuff out, and he would just grab onto something, and just go with it.
Yes, and like every time I've performed with him, you know, like he'll work around. It's been a few times where he's worked around the city, him and Darnell Rollins, and they'll call me up and be like, "Hey, yo, you want to come do a spot?" And I'm like, "Yeah, hell yeah, come through and rock," and then just sit back and attend school is what I like to call it, you know.
You started in Chicago, right?
Chicago, yeah.
Good comedy town.
Yeah. Chicago, South Side. Performed all over through Chicago. We had a sketch troupe called The Forgotten City. We used to do at Second City in Chicago, and just did all sides of the city, north side, south side, west side, and just, you know, hone my craft.
Is the story true that you went up on stage the first time because someone bet you $50?
Yeah. My friend, he was just like, he kept saying, "Man, you should do stand up," and I was just like, "What am I doing? No damn stand up." He was like, "Yo, do stand up," and I was like, "Nah." And then one day he was just like, "I bet you $50 you want to go on stage," and I was like, "50?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "All right, let's just try it." And we went to a comedy club, and I sat there and watched people on stage, and I was like, I think I could do this. But they wouldn't let me on for 3 weeks because there's the list. It was long, right. And so I couldn't figure out how to get on that list, and I finally got on and never looked back.
What material did you do?
Man, I just wrote a joke about me dating this girl in the projects and how I didn't want to walk her to her door, and I had a Sunny Delight joke about white kids going in a house, just going out through the refrigerator, grabbing juice. I was like, not no black household. You got to use the water hose on the side. That was my closer too. That was the best joke I had. That was the greatest joke. It was nationwide too. So I would do like 5 minutes of local and then that one closer joke, you know.
Nice. So then how long, so you go on stage, you get the $50, and then you go, shit, I think I need to do this all the time now.
Yeah, I went home and couldn't sleep. I just laid in the bed and I was like, is this what I'm here to do? Like, is this, like, I know, like, this wasn't even on my radar. But I feel like there's nothing else I can do now. There is absolutely nothing else that I can do. I mean, I went to work the next day, and I was at work, and I was selling leather coats. People could have walked out with 10, 12 coats, and I wouldn't have said nothing because I was just daydreaming, just thinking like, well, what the hell am I doing here? Or what am I doing? Or this is what I should be doing. I mean, it took over my whole mind of figuring out that this is what I need to do and how do I get better at this. Yeah.
And so did you go back to that same, did you just like find all the clubs in the city and go to like, was it like a 7-night-a-week thing?
Yeah, it was just clubs every night. But this dude told me, he was a fucking hater. He was like, if you bomb, you got to quit. He told me that, and I was like this, okay, all right, cool. He was like, so don't bomb. And I was doing great, and one day I bombed when nobody laughing at my stuff, so I quit for like a month and a half. And then this one comedian saw me in the mall one day, and he was like, dude, where you been? Everybody been looking for you. And I was like, I bombed last week.
That's terrible advice to give someone. Quit if you bomb?
I was like, man, I bombed about a month and a half ago.
Comedians left if everyone did that. Like, not one. Not one.
I know, man. And my friend Tony was like, what the fuck is you talking about? He was like, yo, no, it's all good. He was like, no, you come back tonight. Meet me at this club tonight. I was like, are you serious? I was like, they're not going to say nothing because I bombed. He was like, get that out your mind. Just be here tonight. And I came that night and I finished doing my stand. I mean, I went back doing my same bit and they loved it. And I was just like, wow. And I seen that comic and I said, why did you tell me that? And he was like, I didn't tell you nothing. I was like, you did tell me that, you liar. You told me that. Yeah. But, you know, what make you is what break you, too, you know.
That's so funny that in your mind you thought, oh, all the best comics have never bombed.
Have never bombed in their lives. Ever. These guys are good.
Wow, that's incredible. That's really hard to do.
And to tell the truth, like me. You know that?
It is impossible.
To admit it and walk away. Like,
yeah, that is absolutely impossible. I mean, is it what types of rooms were you doing? Were you doing all types of rooms, alternative rooms, club rooms?
I was doing all of them because I my thing was I feel like if I'm gonna write a joke, it has to be for everyone.
Right.
I'm not about to write black jokes and then white jokes and then jokes for women and jokes for men. Like, it has to, like, without knowing that that's how you're supposed to do it. This is what I thought on my own.
Right.
Like, yo, I'm going to make sure everybody get this joke.
Right.
So I won't have to write it. Actually, I'll be writing less if I do that.
Right.
So that was my thought process. And so I just always made sure I worked all rooms. If it worked in this drug-infested bar on the south side of Chicago, it has to also work on Lincoln Avenue up north in Chicago in front of all these yuppies and stuff. So I just made sure that it worked on both ends. And so I just kept doing that and kept doing it, not knowing that will help me later on.
Right.
You know, because a lot of the black comics, they stay south, and the white comics, they stay that way. But there was a few of us that was going back and forth or whatever.
I mean, it's just good to be able to do it. You don't have to do every kind of room all the time, but it's good to know that you can.
Yes.
Because you're not always given the choice.
Yeah, this is true,
and you
right?
get really safe when you only perform for one crowd.
Yeah.
And then when you step outside that crowd for a second, it's jarring. You're like, oh, shit, that's right. I don't have as much in common with these people. I have to figure out what's funny about humanity and not just, you know, like for me, it's like, oh, I perform for nerds. I perform for nerds. You know, but sometimes I got to go perform for non-nerds.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the way that, you know, I felt about it. Like, yo, if I do it this way, then it works, which is a way that we all should do it because, like Seinfeld said, we're not construction workers, you know. You're just using our heads, man. And so if you can't appeal to everyone, then you really shouldn't be doing this in a sense, you know. Yeah,
and then because in the I'm guessing this was early 90s when you were doing this?
Yeah, early 90s, absolutely. Early 90s, like 90, I started in 93.
Yep. 93. Yeah, okay, so that's sort of around when the comedy boom died down from the 80s, because a lot of the comedy clubs started closing and it got a little morose in comedy, but also that sort of alternative comedy movement, which really kind of said the opposite of like, no, you should only perform for your crowd, which was fun at the time, but it's kind of dangerous because Chicago, I feel like there's so many different audiences in Chicago, which I imagine prepared you to perform around the country.
Yes. It's a segregated city, definitely, like, hands down. But I think, like, that's what I was saying earlier. I think that kind of, it prepared me to be who I am to this day as far as, you know, talking about the topics that I talk about and how I do it and the delivery of it. And, you know, and back then it was about originality too. You know, it wasn't just about joke telling. You know, you had to almost not pour your soul, but pour your soul in a sense where it was more to you as a comic, you know, to be more than just funny. You know, I see a lot of comedians nowadays, hilarious, but that's it. you know, and that don't retain to me sometimes.
Right.
And I'm thinking retain to people. It has to be something about that person that you feel, you know, it's an honestness that they have, or, you know.
Are you hearing that?
Yeah.
Are you hearing the sanding? Just
See if I can, like...
just tell them to give us 40 minutes.
They're fixing something?
Well, yeah, we're repainting the outside of the house.
Oh, yeah?
So they're just taking off old layers of paint.
Nice.
Around the house. This house has been around for 90 years, and so when people would come in throughout the years who lived here, they would just put paint on top of paint on top of paint on top of paint. So they're just taking it down. We're trying to make the house like what it was when it was built.
Nice.
So
that's nice.
So anyway, but to hear what you're saying is, it's most people don't really think of comedy as, they just think of it as one thing, you know. But to have the understanding that yes, there are people who are great joke tellers, but if you don't connect with them as a person, then you might leave and they go, "What'd you do?" "Oh, I saw this great comic." "What'd they say?" "I don't remember, but it was funny." You know,
right.
As opposed to someone, you know, where you come away and go, "Holy shit!" You know, I saw whatever. I saw any great comic, and I really feel like I connected with them. You want to connect with the audience.
It's like if you see a super fine woman, you see her and she's beautiful, but you don't know nothing. I mean, you might talk to her for a minute, but you'll walk away like, she was fine, but I don't know. I don't remember her name. I don't know what she did, but she was fine. You know, like, that's how comics are to me in a sense. But then every now and then it'll be a woman that you'll meet and you'll be like, no, she worked at Popeye's Chicken. She worked on fries. She had like this beautiful tan hair, and and her name was Amber, and she was like, you know everything about her. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's all about connection. Like everyone needs a connection.
But it's the delivery that woman gave you that made you remember that stuff about her.
Right.
So it's like that with like comics to me. It's like it's this one comic every now and then that'll come along. Like, I mean, like you, like you have your own thing about you that is so amazing that makes Chris who Chris is. You know what I mean? Like, you identify with like nerds or whatever it is, but it ain't even to me. It ain't even nerds. It's you. You know what I mean? It's your thoughts that makes you different, that makes me go, no, that dude is amazing.
Oh, thanks, man.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think when you first start doing comedy, or I think when you first start doing any art, a lot of people, and this was me included, feel like, oh, my feelings aren't that interesting. I need to go outside and find what's funny about other things.
Yeah.
And then as you get a little older, I think you either just run out of other things to write about, and so you just start writing about yourself, and then you realize, like, oh, maybe there is some value, because you don't feel, you're like, well, this isn't funny, it's just my life. It's not that funny. But other people will relate to it because you're a human and you have experiences and they have experiences.
Exactly. And I think it's the fact that we love to, like, I'm really big on worlds. Let me explain. The world of other people. Just different worlds. Your world, the world of archaeologists, astronauts, you know, like these different worlds. There are worlds and lives that go on every day that I would not know anything about, but to learn about that or see that, it makes it's entertaining. It's also knowledgeable, and it's just great to see that, and that's what I think each comic should be. It's like you're giving us your world, you're giving us how you see this. You know what I'm saying? Which makes you unique in your way, and it makes me see things differently because you see things differently. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because you think when I think of the 70s, where I think, you know, like some of the great archetypal comics and the thing that they have in common is that they were all personal and very point of view. Richard Pryor, Steve Martin, who did a very surreal take on, you know, but his voice of being the fake Vegas performer, making fun of it was great. Joan Rivers, George Carlin. When you look at any of their material and you go, they were so much them, as much them as they could be. And Pryor, he's telling these really fucked up stories.
Yes.
And you're coming out of a period of time where people didn't really talk about really personal things. And he's like, here's the time I lit myself on fire because I was fucked up. Yeah. And he makes it funny. That's such a great lesson to go back for any young performer to look at them.
And that's his world.
Right.
Like George Carlin, he talked about religion. And seeing it from his point of view makes you go, wow. And for him to talk about that seemed like wasn't no one talking about that. That's something that was his world. You know what I mean? Like, I like seeing these worlds. I like that. And when I see comics today and I see them telling clever jokes, that ain't enough for me. I need your world.
Right.
I need the world you're in. Tell me about the world you're in. I don't give a fuck how fucked up it is, how lopsided it is. Let me hear your world.
Right.
Let me see that.
As opposed to trying to write funny jokes.
Thank you.
Because a lot of times when you never know what an audience is. I mean, I feel like I never exactly know what an audience is going to respond to. But if you start talking honestly, not so much a therapy session, but if you when you get experience, you know how to present material.
Exactly.
You'll start finding that the audience. Do you find that the audience relates in places that you didn't expect? Where you go, oh, that's what you think is funny, or do you always know? Like, I think this is where it's going to get them.
No, I'm like I figure out in my mind where I want to take them and what I want to give them. What they get out of it is always interesting to see. And 9 times out of 10, they do get out what I think that they're going to get out of what I'm saying or whatever. But every now and then, no, I can't pinpoint that. They'll come to me and be like, man, I like when you did da-da-da-da-da, which is what make me be a better this, that, and third. Because, and I go, oh, you know what? That's a good way of looking at it, too. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't figure it out that way. But I think... You ever talk sometime and you don't even know what you're saying? Like, you teaching yourself, like, you don't say nothing in your mind. You be like, that's good. Like,
once in a while, something will come out.
Every once in a while,
I should probably write that down because I will forget it, and I don't know when that'll happen.
Just
again.
In the midst of you trying to teach somebody something, you'll say something profound, like, wow, like, that was great, but you be cool with it, but... Yeah, that happens when I'm on stage, sometimes, and then I pay attention to that. It's good to pay attention to those moments. I think a lot of I ain't gonna say a lot, I'm not sure, but I think comedians need to pay more attention to themselves.
Right.
I think we let go so much. Because we don't want to look like that guy that's always on or whatever. But you ain't got to be goofy and all that when it comes to material. But I think that we need to pay more attention to ourselves. And I think we'll tap into at least an extra 15% of greatness that we overlook in our daily days.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you just spend a whole day thinking the way that you think, writing down stuff, and you'll be amazed of that extra 10% that adds up.
Well, yeah, and I think people who aren't comics should probably pay attention to. I mean, as a comic, I think it's more than most businesses. You're sort of forced to confront yourself,
true,
and go inward more than most business. Every business everything that people do, every profession. Obviously, you should put yourself into it. Mm-hmm. But even for people who don't necessarily have, traditionally creative arts jobs, should still try to understand who they are and how they see the world and what they're about. Because otherwise, you're just sort of on autopilot and you're not as in control of your life. It's so much better to try to understand who you are and why you do things and what you like.
That's true.
Because then I think you have the ability to control a little bit more, have a little more control over your life.
Yeah, that's true. You absolutely hit a nail on the head. Yeah.
Are you you seem like a very well-adjusted comedian.
Oh, deception. It's working.
Whenever I see, I always feel like, yeah, Deon's he's got it figured out. Like, he seems very calm. He seems very peaceful. It seems like he's figured it out. Do you feel that way?
I mean, I'm an overthinker, man, and I think, and I try to figure it out as much as possible, but I would never say I got it all figured out at all, but I tend to really think it out, really think it out, and then take that chance, I figure, like, if you're not on the edge, you're not close enough. So I'm gonna figure out. I'm gonna get to the edge. I'm gonna figure out the good and the bad, and then I'm gonna jump.
Right.
So when I land, I'm prepared for whatever, the good or the bad. So I never know, but I know my choices.
Right.
But I never know what the choice will be. Put it like that.
Do you think it's a good time for comedy or a scary time for comedy? I think, we're in a time where if someone can hear jokes out of context and go, you can't say that, that's offensive, and then people like flip out, and then it's just like an outrage machine online. I mean, do you feel like, as a comic, do you go, oh, I need to be careful about what I say, or do you just feel like, well, this is who I am, and if you don't like it, then get mad, and that's not my problem?
Nowadays, to be honest with you, and I hate that it's this way, but nowadays I've been more cautious than I've ever been, because we live in an era now, man, where everybody's so sensitive. It's like it is the worst. It is the worst. How sensitive everyone is, and people might hate me for saying this, but I honestly think sometimes it has to do with the way that people have been raised in the last 20 years too, being not told the truth about the world, being told that they're great and they're amazing. No one else greater than you.
Katie is nodding. This is Katie's like mantra of like, don't give out participation trophies. Drives her nuts. You have to learn how to fall and get back up.
How to fall and get back up.
Yeah.
So it's to this point now where everybody's so raised to the point where you're so amazing and you can't break nobody's feelings and tell them the truth, that when they do hear it, it's outrage now.
Right.
And it's like, that's not outrage. This is real world. Like,
right.
How you just can't handle that. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you don't, everyone's picture doesn't deserve to be on a refrigerator. Some need to go into the drawer.
I'll keep it.
We'll keep it.
But no one needs to see
Not
this.
refrigerator worthy.
If you bomb, don't ever do stand-up again.
If you bomb, don't you ever pick up a mic in your life.
But you know what's great? You know what's great about that is that if comedy is such a great metaphor for life, in the sense that it's okay to bomb, and just because you bomb doesn't mean that you have to flip out and create a outrage or kind of like, okay, that didn't work. I wasn't happy with the outcome.
Yeah.
What can I do? Rather than just getting mad, this sort of this discomfort that I feel, how can I use that to create something better? Or, because a lot of the time, the best things happen after mistakes or quote-unquote failures.
Absolutely.
Because you figure out how to improve, or it takes you in a direction that you never would have thought of before. Yeah,
because if it would have worked right out the gate, you would have left it like that. And sometimes I think that it's not lazy, but it could have been better.
Right.
And sometimes you bombing it makes you perfect that.
Yeah.
And make it better, rather than it working and you just going, oh, it worked, great, all right, I'm done with it.
Well, also you don't appreciate it as much.
And this is exactly what I meant. Yeah,
if you fall on your ass a bunch and then something goes right, you really appreciate
that thing, right? You really appreciate it, man. And so I just think that right now, man. I remember I had a conversation with Damon Wayans one time in New York, and I told him, I was like, I said, man, you still doing stand-up? Where you been, man? I haven't seen you, man. I love your work or whatever, man. And he was like, oh, yeah, I still perform whatever. And this is around the time that Malaysian plane went down or whatever. And I asked him, I said, what do you feel about that Malaysian plane disappearing or whatever? And he simply told me, he said, I'm an American. I don't have an opinion.
What does that mean?
I just was like, well, have a wonderful day. Like, and I just walked off the elevator. As I walked away, I mouthed, what the fuck was that?
What did that mean?
What did that mean? Why is it with me still?
Why is it? Maybe he was going through something that day.
But I got it. I got it in a sense. He's like, if I give the real, it's not real. I'll be just saying something to appease to give the audience. He was like, but nowadays I just do not have an opinion the way that I used to because it's really not my opinion.
Right.
And so I get what he was saying, but I mean, and maybe it was far-fetched or whatever, but I understand that. And nowadays you have to look at that. Like, it's just really these jokes that we write nowadays. Are these really your opinions? You have to really look at, are you modifying this now? And I'm guilty of it. I have modified a few jokes because I believed in them and I thought that the message of the joke is more important than me just throwing it away because I feel like I'm not being real enough with it. But I think that, the way that we modify these jokes now, I think comedy is the last form of raw expression. And if everybody takes that away from us, then we are doomed. Movies suck. Music sucks. I'm not even lying, man. Suck. So if you all gonna come over to us now and water us down, it's like, it's the worst. It's like now it seems like comics give the audience what they want instead of the audience coming to escape from what they usually want and get and come into the world of someone else. It's like movies. You don't go to the movies to see some shit you like or want to hear or whatever. You go watch this movie to escape into this world, and that's how comics should be.
Well, it's just that, like I said before, people just think comedy is one thing. And there's just too much subtlety and nuance and context, and not all jokes are equal.
Yeah.
So one joke from one point of view could be just mean and bullying, but from a different person with a different point of view, it's satirical, and they're actually saying the opposite to highlight the point.
Yes.
That you would probably be on the side of if you paid attention to what the context was.
Yes.
But when you see things taken out of context or in a headline, so-and-so says this, and there's no context given, it's like, oh, okay, well, now people are just getting mad at something that they didn't really fully understand what the messaging was. Yeah. And they actually may have sided with the person if they actually understood what it was that was being said. But,
absolutely.
But people don't want to take the time to understand anymore. People just want to get mad because it's very gratifying. I mean, there are definitely things to be furious at in the world right now.
Yes.
But it is also, it feels good to get pissed. Like, it's just very gratifying to be like, it's just like, fuck you, man. Like, it's really fun. It's fun to be outraged. Like, you get a little fucking outrage boner. Fucking dick's hard, I'm so mad. God! Why'd that guy say that thing? I'm so mad. Like, it's just feels good.
I'm having a good time tonight. What about you? I feel so alive.
I'm alive. I'm going to tweet about it.
All caps.
I just fucking ripped the caps lock off. They're just all caps all the time. That's what I fucking do.
Put that on the t-shirt.
Hey, what was that you were mad about?
All caps all the time.
What was that you were mad about yesterday? Oh, I don't remember.
I don't remember. No.
I'm mad about you thing.
But it's cool not to remember about things.
So much. We're just in a fucking outrage loop.
I know, man. Everyone is outraged. And it's to the point now where I don't even know when I'm outraging someone. So much stuff just pops up all the time. I just found out recently, you're not supposed to call you call them little people now?
Right.
So I didn't even know that was...
Now you know. But I think a lot of that has to do with just, if it's a specific group, if a word was a pejorative term was essentially assigned, and I think it's sort of that group's way of saying like, "Hey, we're going to choose the term, because it's us, because we're going to choose this term."
Yes,
and so that doesn't bother me at all. I sort of be like, okay, well, if that's your term, that's your term.
Yeah,
but it's just.
But I don't know.
But you don't know.
That's all that I'm saying. How do you get to me and let me know this?
It's not like at the grocery store, a bulletin board of like, okay, this week, out with this, in with this. Okay, good. I checked the list. Everything's good. You learn by essentially accidentally wading into it, and then people going, "Hey, what the fuck, man? You stupid fucking piece of shit." And I was like, okay, maybe
maybe
made an honest mistake.
I did not know. Right. I apologize.
I'm
not trying to do that. I just did not know. Yeah. It happened to me. My friend was like, "No, you can't say that." And I was like, "What? Really?"
Yeah.
Did not know that was a thing. So, get your words out, ladies and gentlemen. Like whatever your group is, if you want us to know something, let us just
at Deon Cole, and just let him know.
Send me a list of stuff.
Send me a list of everything. Yeah, so we know what's okay.
So we know what's okay to say.
Yeah, from now on. But I think that's why if you focus more on yourself as the source of comedy, it's edgier and at the same time safer, because if you're talking about your own experiences, like my last special, I did a bunch of stuff about my dad dying and being in the Dead Dad Club, and I knew that if anyone had a problem with it, I'd be like, well, fuck you, that's my experience with it, and my dad's dead, and that's how I'm dealing with it. And fortunately, all the people who had been through a similar thing were like, oh, okay, I appreciate that because I've been through it too. Usually it's people who aren't even involved with the group. They're going, you can't say that. Well, you're policing for them? Why can't you let the Dead Dad Club speak for themselves? You know what I mean? Like, our dads are dead. Your dad's not dead. Fuck you. It's like, how arrogant. Yeah.
But like you said, everybody wants the outrage, man. But that's funny, though.
That's totally. So that's why I think it's safe. It's better to just talk about your own experiences.
That's true. Absolutely.
What do you do when you're writing, or you sort of feel like, I'm out. I've gotten to the end of me. I don't know what else I can, like Operation style, dig out of my body to present as material. Then what do you do?
Man, me personally, I love observational stuff. So as long as I can keep that creative juice going, then I'm good. And sometimes I do get to a point where I'm like, okay, what can I write? I don't even know what to write about now. But anytime I get stuck like that, I put myself in positions I wouldn't normally be in, and that gets me material.
Oh yeah,
like I'll go to a dog show in a heartbeat. I would sit in that motherfucker and just look around like, okay, I leave it a hot five. Like,
can I pitch you a show for you?
Yeah.
That is the fucking greatest idea. So the show, maybe it's even just a web series so that it could be shorter. But the show is you going to all these weird things that you would never go to. You go to a dog show, so it's shot sort of documentary style, and the end of every episode is the 5 minutes that you do about that experience.
That would be fucking insane.
Just so people could see you react in these like fish out of water situations, but then actually see what the result of the material is at the end.
That is crazy.
I love watching your the hands on the head, the mind being blown.
My mind was racing just now. I'm like, that would be insane to do.
Oh, can I pitch that show with you?
Fuck, what? Fuck yeah!
Let's pitch that show.
Let's pitch that show. Let's do that.
We go to
some dead ass
dog show. Go to a rodeo.
Go to a fucking curling. Competition. Like
yeah.
I'm serious. Like, go to these things and just sit and and trip out and react to that shit and then do a high five on it.
So almost a little like Insomniac, but not entirely. But at the and then we could just shoot all of the material like in 1 or 2 shows. So it's like there's this chunk, here's this chunk, here's this chunk, and then just like cut it up, and then
that would be. Yo, Chris, that is amazing. I seen it. I seen something going on in Chris' face too, because when I was talking, he just like froze. Like, wait a minute, yo.
I want to see you at a dog show. I want to see you reacting at a dog show, because then I get to see your process. I get all the comedy of you processing being there, and then I get to see what fruit it bears at the end and what you took away from it.
And that's exactly what I do. I promise you, a speed dating thing, whatever it is. But yeah, and just go and sit there and just like. I remember one day a friend of mine was like, "Man, I got to go to this wedding rehearsal." I was like, "Oh, you in the wedding?" They was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Can I go?" And they was like, "What?"
No one ever asked that question, by the way. Not one person has ever said, "Can I go to that wedding rehearsal?"
I was like, "What do you mean you want to go?" I was like, "I just want to go." They was like, "Okay." I was like, "All right." And just showed up, went.
Oh, this is perfect.
No, I left with about a good 2 minutes.
I want to send you to a bat mitzvah.
Yeah. I want to go to a bat mitzvah.
Just to understand.
I will be there at the bat mitzvah with a gift in my hand, just like knowing I'm there for material, but I got a gift, like it's some bullshit gift, like that you shouldn't give or whatever, just there for the material. You know?
It's a great.
That's funny, Chris.
It's also just a great creative exercise. You know, it's like you're breaking your pattern, you're breaking your habits, and you're putting you're understanding that. Oh, I don't know this world, but when I come out of it, my brain is going to express it in a way that I can sort of present it to other people and sort of be like, I went to the craziest thing, and here's all the stuff that you need to know about this.
Dude, that would be crazy. And it's never ending.
Yeah,
it's never ending.
No, I'm sure there are millions of weird things that you've never done.
Millions of weird things. That would be great. Look at that.
All right. Do you have time? You're working on like 5 shows already.
No, but we can do that. We can definitely put that in the works. I promise, because this is something that doesn't have to be shot every week to week like that. We can go 2 weeks and shoot 3 of 12 episodes.
Yeah. You go to the things and then
like we can do like a episode a day. All we have to do is go there and like look around and be there, and then the next day be at another place. 2 weeks, we can shoot 10 episodes, or maybe even more than that. If we
and
do
then
2
when you're
a day.
ready, you like get all the material together, and then you shoot that when that's ready.
Yeah,
and then you just smush it all together.
Smush it all together, because the 5 minutes that we'll do would be at the end of each show.
That's right.
And just do that 5 and just whatever. I mean, it'd be between 5 and 3 minutes, just closing the show out with what we wrote from that.
Yeah. Because if you're doing a 21-minute show, then your last act is like 3 or 4 minutes,
right?
And so it's like 16 minutes of you being at this thing, and then 3 or 4 minutes of like what did that yield?
Yeah, because
it's so much fun.
And we do like a minute of prep, or 2 minutes of prep, or 3 minutes of prep before getting to the place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then the chaos at the place, or whatever goes on at that place. And like I see it.
Yeah, because you'd only need a few 3 or 4 hours at each place to get enough to cut down, 15 minutes of material, 15, 16 minutes of whatever that experience was.
And it'll promote whatever's going on as well, too.
Oh, this is so much
fun.
That
would be crazy.
I'm so excited.
Me too.
I'm so excited.
This is documented too.
Well, I just want to make fun shows with really funny people and nice people, and you're always great whenever you came on on at midnight.
Oh,
it was great having
thank you for having me, man.
And,
so great. Thank you.
And also, I also recognize. I mean, you must have an insane work ethic. I mean, legitimately to do the amount of comedy that you do and to work on all these different things. it's like when you meet successful people and you start looking at their process, you go, that's not an accident.
Yeah.
You didn't just fall into that.
Yeah.
That was the result of so much work that people don't always see.
Yeah.
But it finally starts to, produce stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the belief in others too, seeing what you can do and believing in you and getting behind you, like even with you, man, you've been in the game. Seriously, man, you've been in the game
Long
for
time.
a minute, man. And I mean, in these last few years, man, like just boom, you know what I mean? You can't deny talent. I don't care how long it takes. Talent, a star is a star is a star. and a great comic is a great comic. You cannot take that away. So to see you having everything that you have right now, man, it's so amazing to see because you put that work in, and
there were some dark times. Oh, I met Larry Wilmore.
Why is he shaking? No, I'm playing.
I met Larry Wilmore for the first time at the Emmys.
Yeah.
He's fucking great.
Isn't he, man?
God, I love that guy.
That's another guy who, man, works crazy, man. He's got mad shows that he's consulting and producing and doing, as well as Blackish, and Insecure, and man, he's man, Larry's the man, Superman.
He really is, and I would love to see him get back on television, like to have a show.
Yeah.
And I think it would be great to see him with the show on like CNN or MSNBC to do what he was doing over at Comedy Central, but to put it on to be the funny show and the socially relevant show on that type of channel. I think it would be so great to see.
I would love to see him in that same situation, like you were saying. I would love to just see him just stretch out and just be him, and because I want to hear Larry, you know what I mean? Like just just really how he think, like the Daily Show. That was Larry telling you how he really thought about that, and it wasn't structured, you know what I mean? It has to be structured, but more Larry, because Larry is hilarious with his thoughts.
Yeah, but just maybe not a Daily Show, because that's a fucking pain in the ass. Daily Show is really
I was trying not to say that, but I was like, more Larry.
The Daily Show. But doing a Daily Show is not an easy thing.
No.
And it was kind of funny to see Kimmel and Colbert razzing John Oliver at the Emmys a little bit, like, oh, you just do the show once a week, do you? And and John is incredible, but
yes, he is.
But when you're doing a daily show, you're like, fuck, I wish I had a whole week to write one monologue, But a daily show, you just don't. It's like, what can we cobble together today? All right, it's done. I don't remember what we did yesterday. We have to do it again all over today.
Working on Conan, man, I know that grind. That grind is crazy. For every day, I know exactly that grind. That grind is... People have no idea how that is to come up with new material every day like that. It's hard, man. So, Yeah,
and you just get home and you're like, oh my God. It's like you're being chased by a bear. That bear is failure every day. You just make it back to your cabin. That bear's going to chase you tomorrow. I can't deal with that tomorrow. Right now. I just need to go to bed. I need to take a bath and go to bed. I'll deal with it tomorrow.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Man.
And, you leave that cabin the next day and you just see the bear pacing like, fuck, I got to do this again.
I gotta go get fish. How do I give out every day? I gotta go get fish by this bear.
That bear's gonna be there. I know.
I know.
Gonna chase me again. I'll figure this out. So, is there anything like what do you have in? Tell me a little bit about the game show, the game show that Wanda's producing.
Yes. It's called Face Value. It's coming on BET tomorrow.
Oh,
it is a Wednesday. It is every Wednesday. It's just a show. It's Wanda Sykes, executive producer, as well as her partner Paige, and it's me as a host, and Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany's the best. Yeah, she's does a lot of man on the street for the show. She's hilarious.
God damn it, I love her.
Yeah, man, she's so funny on the show, man, and it's just a show where we like profile, and people profile people all the time, and they thought of a show where it was like, yo, let's pay people to profile people. Yeah. And that's what it was. And I mean, and that's what it is. And the show is great, man. It's not just making fun of people. It's also, you know, showing, you know, that you can be wrong about who you judge, you know, as well. So it's a fun show, man. It's just a fun show to play.
I'm so glad. I remember maybe 3 years ago, I saw Tiffany at the Improv Lab, like the side room off the Improv, and she was so fucking funny. And I emailed from the show. I emailed our booker, and I was like, "You have to get Tiffany Haddish on at midnight." And she killed the first time she came on, which is hard to do on our show. Yeah. People usually had to catch the rhythm, but she killed the first time. And every time she would come on, I would go, "Okay, this is one step closer to you being a star and and our show being beneath you." So I just want to make sure we get you on while you're still willing to do the show. Right. But she's just such a fucking comedy superstar.
She's amazing. We just performed together in Florida maybe about a month or two ago, and it was just amazing. Just that 1-2 punch we gave them, man. She's remarkable.
Where were you? Where'd you perform?
I think it's called DANIA. What is that? Danani?
I don't know. What city?
Dayton.
Oh, Dayton? No, I'm sorry. Daytona.
No, not Daytona. It's DANIA. What is that?
Sorry. Say it again.
DANIA. What is that?
In Florida?
Dania Beach?
Dania Beach. That's what it is. Yeah. We was down there. Yeah. We was down there. So yeah, it was great. Everybody came out. Two sold out shows. It was amazing.
Are you doing theaters now? Or are you doing clubs?
Well, I'm still doing clubs, man, and I'm doing some theaters, but I'm still like doing clubs or whatever.
Like the club experience.
It's nothing like the club experience. But I think I'm leaning a lot more towards theaters now because my work schedule won't allow me to just be gone for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So like I can't do it like that no more. But there's some dates that I still do have like that, but a lot of them they have been conduced to like just Friday, Saturday, or Saturday.
Right.
And that's it. Yeah. So
that's cool.
It's a transition that's happening as we speak. So I think I might be leaning a lot more towards theaters now.
Yeah, I mean, they're both such different animals. It's like
I know.
I'm going to go do a bunch of club dates because I just need to get material.
Yeah.
And they're so much fun because you're just in it. You're
love
just
the clubs.
in it. You're not presenting material. You're doing it with the audience. Like you're just in it, and it's so much. It's so fun.
It's
that
like
way.
you can. It's approachable. Like everyone's right there. I love clubs. A nice Wednesday, come in early so you could do press Thursday morning and then be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That is ideal to me. I love the clubs. I love that being away from my everyday to be in a new city or a city that I like to revisit it. Love it, but my schedule just right now, we tried it a few times. It couldn't work. So, I mean, it's a good problem to have. But, yeah, we're trying to figure out how I can still go out and, hit the people at least once or 2 days a weekend instead of,
Are you doing a lot of local shows in L.A.?
I haven't, but I'm about to start back up. I'm about to start back up and doing a lot of stuff. Like I said, this has just started. This situation with me, it just started because we started shooting like at the end of August. And so we've been trying to figure it out. But I'm about to start doing a lot of stuff around Los Angeles, like definitely, like every night almost.
Yeah, it's a good time for comedy in LA right now. There's a lot of good places.
A lot of good places. Yeah, a lot of great places. So I was up probably about 2 weeks ago. I was up at the Comedy Store.
Yep.
And went up there, and but I'm definitely about to start hitting it. Yeah.
Good. Well, I hope to see you around.
Yes.
But we have to make this show. We have to develop this show. We have to pitch this show.
We have to
think of a good name. A good name.
I know we're gonna come up with a good name for it. This is amazing. I'm so excited, yo. Just to collab with you would be. I'm telling you, this is gonna be crazy for us to shoot it. I promise you, it'll take us 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's not it's really just. you know, if someone said, okay, do 10 episodes, how hard is it to find 10 weird things that you've never done before?
Yo, it is not hard at all.
I'm so interested from the comedy process side of like watching,
Yeah.
you know, like, oh wow, he had this experience that anyone could go have, but was able to extract this, and this from it, and make the jokes about this.
Yeah.
Like, I think that'd be really fun to watch.
Exactly. I think it's a great idea, man. I'm so glad you used your brain like that, man. Because I did not do what I said earlier. We have to pay more attention to ourselves. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so that was a great move on you, brother.
I'm paying attention to you. Anything else you want to plug or promote? The stand-ups or the Netflix special?
Stand-up Netflix
It's like
special.
five comics, right? Is Nikki in that?
Six. It was 6 of us. Nikki Glacier's
Yeah.
in it. Yes, she is. Nikki, stop being mad at me too. Damn it. She got mad at me for. I don't even know what she mad at. Stop being mad.
What's
The
she mad
world,
at you
the
for?
world, the world is too small for that. I left her mad messages. She won't call me back or nothing. I don't know. I think when we was taping the stand-ups, when the camera was off, I asked the audience something, and she said something, and I was like, "Who was that?" And then everybody was like, "Oh," and I couldn't see her.
Oh, okay.
And they
It
was
was an
like, "It's
honest
Nikki."
misunderstanding.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, hey, girl, I didn't know that was you." After that, no calls back.
Oh no!
I'm like, "Nikki, stop it. Stop
If
it."
she
girl."
finally texts you back, just go, who's this?
Yeah. Who's this, Nikki? No, I'm just
She's
playing.
great,
I'm
also
playing.
one of my
I love
favorites,
Nikki.
Nikki
Nikki is
Glaser.
great. Fortune, everybody that
Oh,
was a
Fortune's
part
in
of
it.
that.
Oh, man, what a
Yes.
great-
Yeah, it was a great lineup. It was great, man. Everybody that was a part of it. Shout out to Netflix. It was fantastic. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, check that out. New Def Jam. 25 years that came out today. Def Jam anniversary, 25 years. It's on Netflix, and we're shooting Blackish now. Blackish is October 3rd on ABC Tuesday, and then we have Face Value, which is tomorrow. Please watch it on BET.
By the time this goes up, that'll already be on, so people can see it.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then
yeah.
Grownish. When is Grownish?
Grownish should be next year.
Shit.
It'll be next year. We shooting that right now, but it should be done by next year, edited and ready and all of that. So,
Excellent.
yes.
Man, I'm so glad we got a chance to sit down and talk. Thank you so much for
It's
coming
been
over.
Such an honor, Chris. Thank
So
you
great.
for having me, brother.
Good to see you, Deon.
You too, bro.
Enjoy your burrito, everyone.
Now leaving Nerdist.com. Enjoy your burrito.